This is Actar's Reviews, from anime to figures and beyond. Hey, this is Actar and welcome to another episode of Actar's Figure Reviews. We'll be going on a double date with both Figma Ayanami Ray and Figma Shikinami Asuka Langley in yet another Evangelion themed episode. Now, why the double date, you might ask? Well, let's just say that they both shared similar accessories and I didn't really feel like talking about the entry plug pilot seat twice. Anyways, seeing that we do have a lot to cover, let's get straight into the review. For those of you who have yet to lay eyes on the latest Evangelion movie, do not fear, because there will be absolutely zero plot spoilers. The packaging for both girls is pretty similar, save for the color scheme, red and blue for Asuka and Ray respectively, as per tradition. The honeycombed hexagons all around the packaging are reminiscent of Nerve's signature emergency warning signs. Both of the Figmas come in the square Figma box, indicative of an increased accessory count. However, the square Figma box for the Evangelion girls is warranted mainly due to the inclusion of the hulking entry plug pilot seat. On the sides, we have portraits of both girls, and on the backs, a series of pictures illustrating the various poses that the figures can be manipulated into and the myriad of accessories that they come with. So, without further ado, let's open these up and take a look at the contents inside. Starting off with Figma Ray, we see that the details are astounding. Frankly speaking, this is one of the most accurate Ray figures that I've ever had the pleasure of looking at. The Figma truly does a magnificent job in capturing her stoic disposition. Her skin-tight plug suit is also rendered gorgeously in this minute scale. Revolving her 360 degrees all around, we see all the tiny details like the dabs of orange, green and red. The tiny 00 on her chest and significantly larger 0 on her back is just as sharp and crisp as all the other panel lines on her body. While the Figma joints do somewhat disrupt the slender and curvaceous look of Ray in certain poses, it's not as disjointed a look as some might think. I myself don't mind it that much, if not at all, because I fully comprehend the limitations of an action figure. Build quality wise, the Figma figure is sturdy and feels solid in hand. All the joints are tight and will hold her up in any pose, a feat that I still have trouble accomplishing with the Revoltex. Taking our attention off Figma Ray for a few seconds, let's bring Figma Oscar into the picture. It's interesting to note that instead of her regular plug suit, Asuka is represented in Figma form in her less famous but admittedly more revealing and flattering test plug suit. Everything I said about Figma Ray applies to Figma Oscar, so I'll just let the figure speak for itself. Do take note of some of the intricate details, such as all the green notes, the test logo on the front, and even the test logo on the back, which is usually covered up by her hair. Coming back to Figma Ray, let's get a feel for this figure's articulation. First off, her head can move up and down, side to side. Just like all the other Evangelion girls, Figma Ray has a double neck joint, once at her body and once at her neck. Her arms can move side to side and forwards and backwards. Do note that her arms are double jointed, once at her body and once at her shoulder itself, to offer a wider range of more natural posability. Her elbows do bend quite a fair bit. Her wrists can move forwards and backwards and they can rotate side to side. Figma Ray does sport a pretty neat chest joint that allows her to move the upper half of her body up and down, side to side this way as well. Sadly, she doesn't have any waist joint, but her legs can move forwards and backwards, side to side. They can rotate side to side. They can bend at the knee. And her feet can move forwards and backwards, side to side. And they can also swivel side to side as well. Honestly, the smooth joints on the Figma figures make for such a better posing experience and are undoubtedly a cut above Revoltex cut and ratchet joints in my book. The only problem I have with the Figma figure's articulation is that its attempts to preserve the streamlined look of the plug suit backfires and hinders the leg articulation, even though this waist piece is made of soft PVC. The legs can only move about this much forwards and this far to the side. But since the AFR pilots are hardly ever seen doing any action poses in the show, I don't consider this a big strike against them. However, the leg articulation is at least good enough to pull off a really convincing side kick. Thinking about it, an easy solution would have been to include an added point of articulation in the waist to allow the leg to move downwards and clear enough room for it to bend forwards even more, similar to the Kabuto SH Figuarts type of leg joint. And as for Figma Oscar, she shares the exact same points of articulation as Figma Ray, save for 2 added points of articulation in her hair. They are ball joints and they will allow you to pose her hair in any way you choose. Moving on to accessories, both Figmas come with the well-loved Figma 3-jointed stand, base, and ziplock bag. Note that, just like with Figma Mari, they come with a special waist clip attachment for the stand. A reason I can think of for this special treatment would be that they didn't want to ruin the aesthetics of the plug suit with a hole for the regular peg to plug into. Starting off the character-specific accessories segment with Figma Ray, we have, well, not much to be honest. Aside from a series of exchangeable hands, she also comes with 2 exchangeable faces, one with her wearing a slight smile, and another with her in a serious Evangelion piloting expression. She does, however, come with a special exchangeable hand that's affixed to a miniature tape player / Walkman. Now, this does play a somewhat significant and pivotal role in her new characterization in the movie, so I won't give away any specifics. Asuka fares slightly better in the accessories department. First and foremost, a number of exchangeable hands and a pair of exchangeable faces are included. The exchangeable faces have Asuka in a battle-enraged expression and looking back to check her appearance in her new plug suit expression. A rather specific one if I do say so myself. Other than that, she comes with a special exchangeable hand holding a cell phone. Kudos to the manufacturer for recreating that intricate pattern on the front. The inside is also adequately detailed with the molded-in keypad. In the new movie, Asuka is also given a special doll of her own. It's a hand puppet and functions similarly to that of an exchangeable hand, meaning that you have to pop off one of her hands to clip this hand puppet to her. Nice attention to detail with the stitches and Asuka's name. Lastly, we have the final special accessory for Asuka, and that is an exchangeable back hairpiece. Now, what is this for, you might ask? Why, it's for use with her entry plug pilot seat. Of course. This particular hairpiece is much flatter and lacks the 2 individual joints, and this will allow you to lean Asuka back far more when she's seated in her pilot seat. Speaking of her pilot seat, let's focus our attention on one of the biggest Figma accessories to be included with any one figure. The seats that are packaged together with Ray and Asuka are identical down to the last speck of paint, so I'll only be showing off one of them. Now, before the seat is ready for play and display, some simple assembly is required. You first need to peg in the headrest, and peg in the 2 control apparatus to the sides. The entry plug pilot seat is a dead ringer for its on-screen counterpart, and it's definitely a welcome inclusion as replicas of the entry plug pilot seats are few and far between. Articulation-wise, the control apparatus can move forwards and backwards, rotate side to side at the handle, and rotate side to side at the main arm. There's another joint here that can move forwards and backwards, rotate side to side this way slightly, and rotate side to side this way as well. And the entire arm is connected to the seat via a ball joint, so you can move the arm in whatever way you choose. The 2 sides of the seat can also move, most likely to allow enough room for the figures to appear leaning forwards. To go about attaching the Figma figure to the seat, we first have to remove this back seat panel and plug the hole up with the waist clip. A Figma stand then pegs into it from the back, securing it in place. For added stability and ease of posability, a second Figma stand is included and plugs into another hole located further down. And here we have Ray ready for battle. Note that the waist clip is completely unnecessary and isn't required, especially when you want your pilots to lean forwards. The stand can also plug into the back piece in place of the waist clip. In conclusion, I really don't think that there is anything more that I can say to convince you of the fact that these are the definitive action figures of the Evangelion pilots as they appear in the new movie series. The only gripe that I have with the figures as a whole is the hindered leg articulation. But aside from that, the rest of the articulation is brilliant, and these figures not only hit the ball out of the park in terms of accuracy and accessories, but they are also topped off with outstanding build quality, stupendous details, and are just phenomenal overall. I mean, even for some inexplicable reason you despise Figma figures, get these for the entry plug pilot seats. I think that they are another major attracting factor for even the most casual of Evangelion fans. So, this is Zach saying, see you guys in the next episode.